our democratic institutions, our media, whether it's through legal corruption called lobbying or whether it's through outright corruption, we are seeing this, and that's undermining the sense of democracy. So how do we make sure that we control this power? Secondly, how do we make sure that we deal with the inequality that's being developed, that's being seen as huge inequality? And that was another area where ancient Greece, the ancient Greeks, Aristotle and Plato talked about. They said, well, two things undermine democracy: inequality, where there are divisions and polarization. We're seeing that in many countries, and polarization then leading to possible violence, or what we would call populism today, and demagoguery, which also leads to false promises, basically, people being frustrated, and then also creating major conflict within societies. And the two of the remedies that the ancient Greeks had, one was the redistributive capacity of society, so that, yes, the rich do have to have a social contract with the rest of society, and therefore, yes, there will be richer people, but there will also be people with basic incomes, basic needs covered, time to actually be part of society, and education to fight through a critical mind, to be able to think critically towards authority, towards what you hear, somebody else is telling you, today maybe fake news, critically be able to assess through education, and therefore the development of theater, of arts, of games is very much part of learning, but even more so participating in politics. In ancient Greek, citizens over their life at least twice took on public roles, either through lottery or elected, and they learned through participating, through taking on responsibilities, through owning the process, and therefore it became much less to be swayed by a demagogue. So I think these are lessons we could take from the ancient Greeks, and I could add more. When I was Prime Minister, I was inspired by what ancient Greeks did with they posted every expenditure that the polis, the city, did. But they did it, of course, they didn't have the internet, they put it on stone. I decided, why don't I use the internet and use it as a wall where you just post everything, all our expenditures. So I just passed a law that said no expenditure is legal unless it's posted on the internet. And that way we brought in a lot of transparency, which is very important for democracy and for citizens to be able to hold politicians and government accountable. I think also another idea of the Agora, where everybody got together to discuss and then decide, that was one spot. Today we have the internet, but it's splintered. People go into their own little tribes and their cocoons and don't really discuss with each other, but against each other. Could we create a forum, a government forum, a fourth branch of government in one sense, which is allows and gives the right to everybody to deliberate on the laws and on the issues that have to be decided by our legislature or by our executive, and in that way bring everybody together in one space where they have to debate with the other side, and somehow that is a moderating force, but also will be a force in helping look for solutions rather than just finding an enemy. So these, I think, are some ideas we should go back to and think through and see how they apply to our world today.